Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Wanted to do our weekly update, so I'm going to jump in. This week, we have had our scheduling team working really hard to refine some team member schedules. And this is better for our company, and I think it's going to be better for most of our team members. So shout out to our schedulers for their really hard work and for making it happen. And I wanted to remind everyone to pay close attention to your Humanity app and to your messages, and also to Slack. These are the ways that they will be communicating those with you. So it's important that you receive those messages and know if your schedule is going to change. Also, anytime that we change a schedule, please be patient with it. Talk to your scheduler if something's not working, but do understand that they don't ask a lot and they're very considerate. So if they are asking for a change, it's probably because it's for the betterment of the company, or if it was just an absolute lifestyle demand for a coworker. So really try and be patient and make those things work. And again, make sure that you come and talk to them while they're working. If you have a challenge with that, don't text them on the weekend or late at night or call them. It's best to come and talk to them while they're working if you have a challenge that's unavoidable. So great. Make sure you check those. Also, little quick Avamark tip from something that we noticed that was not done quite right one time this week, but I also learned about, so I felt like I needed to share. It's really important when you're adding a spouse's name into a client account to add the record under one name and either add and their spouse's name or list the spouse separately in the spouse field. And when you do that, list the last name, comma, first name with no space between the comma and the first name. So that might look like this. If I were adding a spouse into the record, I would add Karen Smith as the client name, and then in the spouse field, I'm going to add Smith, comma, Sean, no space. So that would be for Sean and Karen Smith's record, but they're each listed separately, and we can search for them individually in that field and get to their record even quicker. So that's the uniform. I'm going to flip the camera around and show you real quick what that looks like. Okay, so I chose these clients here because they were in red. So you'll see Williams, comma, Carrie and Sean, and you can see his name listed there. And then right above that, you can see Williams, comma, Karen, and then Williams, comma, David. I wanted to show you these two side by side because there's a huge difference in those. The difference is I can search for Williams, comma, David, but I can't search for Sean Williams. So the one that's listed Williams, comma, David, no spaces, is the correct way to do that. So make sure that every team member pays attention to this and that you know this is the right way to do it. The client number 10167, Williams, comma, Karen, Williams, comma, David, those are the right ways to list those, and the next one is the incorrect way. The next thing that I wanted to go over is that earlier this week we had a situation come up with a patient, and I thought that if I explained the situation, everybody could learn or at least be reminded of what's important here in our practice. And so this is the situation. We had a client who came in with a pet with an injury, and they came in after hours and we're talking to a specific team member, and they wanted a recommendation for what their pet needed. And ultimately, they were given a recommendation and it was wrong, and they were never recommended care. So the client, naive to what their pet needed, just kind of ignorant in that situation, they followed the team member's recommendation, which did not include that of a physical exam, and they left and their pet ended up in critical condition and had to come back for services. And guess what? We're responsible. So it's really important for us all to remember that as support team, we are here to work on behalf of the veterinarian. But if we don't do our job in properly recommending care to a pet owner, getting them in to schedule them, that we're really doing a disservice and we're opening these veterinarians up to liability. This is our job. It's the sole purpose of our existence here, is to support our veterinarians so that they can provide veterinary care to our patients. So just make sure that you remember that we all have a place, that none of us are licensed veterinarians except for the licensed veterinarians, and we have to be respectful of that. So each and every time that you see a patient, there's a real fine line to walk to make sure that you're making a valid recommendation, and it's okay to admit that you don't know. I'm actually glad when people admit that they don't know what to do, because then you can be guided. Especially our overnight team, because you're in such a vulnerable position of not always having a veterinarian that you can turn to with just a moment's time, but you kind of do because you have someone to call in. So this message is really for everybody who works here. If you see a situation where there's a pet who is not acting right and the owner's not sure whether they should bring him in, always err on the side of caution and recommend an exam. There's no shame in us doing an exam and telling the owner, look, everything's personally fine, because it gives them the peace of mind. It doesn't make anybody seem foolish. It's not wasteful in any way. It's doing your due diligence. So make sure that you make those recommendations and ask for help when you're not sure if that's the right thing to do. All right, so the last thing really that I wanted to talk about is actually something really exciting. We are always looking to use technology in the best way that we can to do our jobs better, and especially when that includes creating the wow and enhancing the client bond. So something that we've been toying with the idea on that we've finally been able to bring into play is sending video texts to owners. And the resort's been doing this for a long time with their owner updates, whether they send pictures or video, and it works great. So now we want to try and bring this into the exam room, and we want to start small in one segmented area before we start to expand into other areas. But really, the possibilities are endless. So what we want to start doing is sending texted video report cards for drop-off patients. So let me say that again. We'll be texting video report cards to drop off patients at the hospital instead of doing a paper report card. It's going to take less time. It's going to be more impactful. The owners will be able to share it amongst their family members or their spouse if they want to. They can share it on social media if they want to. That's on them. But what we'll do is after each drop-off appointment, which are typically seen in the exam rooms, we will have a nurse and a doctor and the patient still in the room and do a 30 to 60 second video, text it to the owner. And that video is going to include a summary of the services that the patient received that day, kind of a recap of their health, and then of course any recommendations that we have. So I actually got Dr. Patrick to do a little sample video and share it with you. And of course we had to shoot this one in the x-ray room, and it was kind of a mock-up, but the ones from the exam room should be incredible. We also have a little SOP just to go over all the fine details that I'm going to attach as a training in Humanity today when we publish this video. So I want you to look at all three of these things. Besides watching this video, read that SOP and any other updates that we have in the training, and also watch the additional sample video to make sure that you understand what should happen and how to do this. We've added some extra devices in for the hospital team recently. So now the hospital team has 2 cell phones and an iPad, so there should be no excuse on how to send those. Really, really important. So get to making some videos. Let me know if you need any help with those things. That's all my updates for the week. I hope y'all have a great weekend. Take care.
Hey, Miss Pam, it's Dr. Patrick. Just want to let you know that Millie did awesome today. We did her wellness. Her heartworm test was negative, intestinal parasite screen was negative, heart and lungs sounded good, ears were clean, eyes were clear, lymph nodes, hips, knees, belly, everything was wonderful. Only concern I have is her teeth. She's starting to get some pretty nasty periodontal disease, so we need to have her teeth clean. I have an estimate that's going to go home with you when you pick up. And let me know if you have any questions. It's been about 2 years since she's had her teeth done, so it's definitely time. But other than that, keep doing what you're doing, keep up with her heartworm prevention, and just give me a shout if you need anything.